Are you ready to get provoked? You're listening to Can I Live, a show created to excite, ignite, and expose. Let's tune in with your host, R.W. Jones. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Can I Live podcast. I'm your host, R.W. Jones, and I am very, very excited about tonight's show. I want to introduce to you our co-host. We have the marvelous Anthony James from Vision Exposed. Say what's
How
up.
you doing?
Hey, and then we have Glenn Warren from Fathers Forever. He is also our co-host, bringing the heat
Oh,
tonight. What's up, Glenn?
well,
So last week, everybody said they enjoy, and we cannot forget the marvelous co-host. The assistant producer, Monette Walker Brown. You can't see her, but she's in the cut. She's actually going to make sure we say all of the things we need to say, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube. You know, we can't go live on YouTube till we have 100 subscribers, so please subscribe. Just a click.
And like the video.
And like the video as well. And so we're really excited about tonight's podcast because we have in the room something that you've never seen before. And if anybody knows me, you know that I like doing things that many don't do. I don't like being in the crowd with everybody else. I don't like competition. I hate the spirit of it altogether. And we have a very special guest. But before we introduce to you our guest, we need some context, some framework. Why? Because some of you are tuning in for the very first time today. So you really don't know what we're doing. So ultimately, we have this big, bodacious goal. We want to move 1 million moms off the welfare. Now, some of you might say, why is that important? What's wrong with me and my welfare? Leave me and my welfare alone. We'll get into that. But there's something inherently wrong about a system who will pay you to live in an apartment. Okay, they're gonna pay your rent. There's an exchange. It's not fair. It's not a fair exchange. They'll pay your rent, they'll give us food, they'll give us childcare, they'll give us what else? TANF, monies, subsidies, WICs. They'll give us food stamps, Medicaid, health insurance. They pretty much give you everything you need to survive. And so it's not a wonder why so many of us are on it and then find it very hard to leave it alone. However, because we're on this goal, I was a welfare mom. It took me 10 years to get me and my children off. And I was penalized for wanting to become economically independent. That was when I found out that if I got to lie and cheat for this welfare subsidy, I don't want it. God did not provide for me in a way that would destroy my character. So I couldn't praise God on Monday or Sunday and then be lying to Caesar on Monday all day, every day about what I had. And it was when I started to tell the truth, I started to know and notice that there was all of these little tricks and trades that, like you can own a small business and still get welfare and TANF and housing and all these other things. And you can go to school and get monies and they don't count that. And so I used the things that I learned by being honest as my way to get out. But I knew that other people didn't know. And on the verge of me committing suicide and murdering my 4 sons, because that's what it took. It took me almost losing my mind because I was tired of being in the rat race. I was tired of robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was tired of never having a dollar, to buy anything, to do anything with me and my children. I didn't see my way out. I was working these jobs that I hated. And then I had these, on top of all of this experience, running in and out of social services. I had 4 young men that I had to raise that was looking on to me to be both mom and dad because daddy's wasn't there. And so, of course, most of them went into the child support system. And they were like way older than me. These wasn't little young bucks running around. These was like grown men that should have pensions, but they didn't. And I thought to myself, I cannot even support my own children. It was the eye-opening when I realized that all of the money that was coming to my household was government subsidies. And if the government decided today that we're not going to support you anymore, I would not be able to support my own family. That's a big deal. And that's when I was like, whoa, that's my cue to know you got to now get out of this system. We wasn't created. God didn't give us kids and children so that somebody else can take care of them. It was my responsibility. Then I realized the epiphany was I had I had fathers that they didn't. I think they didn't like me. I think it was something about the relationship, something that turned them sour in that relationship about me, that in turn came onto the children. Meaning they took their dislike about me. It could be, well, one of them told me to take them to court, but he was mad because I found out he was cheating, and I told, we kind of set him up. So it was kind of like, I hate her, I hate the baby too, whatever those conflicting feelings is. What I want men to know is I got a message for both men and women. Number one, if you're a woman watching this, I want you to know, for one, I am not telling men to not pay child support. I am not trying to get men to reduce their payments. I'm actually trying to get men to pay you what you, I'm not going to say what you're owed, but I'm trying to get men to be able to pay you more as the mother of the child. However, I'm also want to make sure with the men that I'm not trying to get them to escape their responsibilities. It is theirs to hold and keep on their own. I'm not giving you tricks and trades to pay less and be less of a father, even though I don't think fatherhood should be equated to how much you pay. What I want men to know is that I get it, I understand, and that I know that the system could be one-sided, it's brutal, it's punitive. And I also know that when women get pissed off for one reason or another, they can use that damn child support system against you. And I told y'all in the beginning, I would have to check myself. And I know for sure, if I'm being honest, I'm being transparent. There was one dad. I got 3 dads, and they all wound up in the child support system, not because I was some gold digger. Is it 3 dads? Yeah, it's 3 fathers. I got 3 fathers, and 2 of them wound up because one of them kept running away. He kept just lying to those sheriffs when they came and served him. He don't live there. Scum. The other one that was available, he was, poor thing, he was available enough. He would come get his sons every weekend or every other weekend. He made sure his money was paid on time, but he still got on my nerves because he was mean. Not just to me, but he would do things like he was the father to all the kids. And so he would come and usually pick up all the kids. And then one day he's like, I'm not picking those 2 up. They're not my sons. And he said that in front of the other 2. And I could have killed him. I could have if I had some hot grits, boy, he would have been a Rick James, Al James Green. He would have had that story all over again. I was so angry because one of them broke down right in front of me, cried. And I couldn't do nothing, but I held him and I cried with him. I was so angry. And I wish, now if he wasn't in court, he would have been there that day. He would have been there, because there's nothing more satisfying when you've been hurt than to see the person that hurt you hurt. And so, Jane, like Anthony always say, hurt people. And it's not until you can heal from those places. So we're hoping through this podcast that we're able to heal, build better relationships so we can shelter and build better safety mechanisms for our children. That is important. Our children are growing up without the protections that they need to be whole, just to be whole and safe. And so at the end of the day, if we can help bring dialogue, bring conversation to this platform that heals, I believe we would have done our job. Now, there is a moment where we would like to cancel child support for active fathers. That's a big deal. We'll sell what we have and give to the poor, because we know that there are good dads out there that just need an opportunity. There are good dads out there. And so for most of you guys see to Get Your Hands Out My Pocket, we've turned the book that, where's my book? I don't have it. Get Your Hands Out My Pocket. The book is now a stage play. And COVID helped us turn it into an animation. So we're hoping that we'll have our tickets to be available on sale as early as March 1st. We're working on our trailer. However, we are our own solution. So no government is helping us make this happen. We will help do it, but it's going to take us to have these kind of conversations. It's going to take us to sell tickets, sell books, invest in ourselves, and then we will take our proceeds and we will make sure that that debt is canceled. Now, when we say cancel, we will then settle the debt to the mom, and the mom will take the dad off paper, off court. So it's a whole program that we have partners like Leo McLaughlin from Progeny Life, um, which brings me to my, let me do my little drum roll. Okay, so if any of you have ever been in child support court, you already know that you can't get an attorney, especially if you're broke. You're not getting an attorney to help you in the court system. Number one. Number two, mediation and stuff really doesn't exist unless you pay for it. And so we have a gentleman by the name of Leo McLaughlin. He actually was arrested for child support, and he was in jail. And it was in his jail cell, he realized or had an epiphany, which we'll learn about, that said, I'll never be helpless without a plan like this again. I will never let the system or anybody have this much power over me. And it took him 2 years to create the nation's only child support insurance company. So I don't know about y'all, but that's a big deal because, Anthony, I think you remember the day, maybe 8 years ago, we discussed child support insurance and how it was something that had to be, it had to happen. And I know I went around various child support, just not child support, I went around various insurance companies asking them what would it take to open up a child support insurance. And of course, the people I was talking to, they were like bougie. They were like, what? Who want to deal with that? Like, no, what? No. And I was like, that is it. I was like, that's an insurance that needs to happen. But never could find it. So when I think Leo was brought to me by someone. I don't even know how we met, but I knew it was God. I knew it was God. So let's right now. Leo, that's to you.
Thank you.
That's to the many lives that you will change. And that's just to the hard work and dedication that I knew it took every piece for you to get this done. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Leo McLaughlin. And please, everybody, let's just give it up and find out how did you do it and tell us your story. Absolutely. Here's another little round of applause. Clap for your 1 time, 2 time. It's still clapping. Oh, wait a minute. That's funny.
Wow. Well, thank you for that introduction. That was beautiful, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I assume you can hear me well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, yeah. Well, I will say that is what happened pretty much. I have 2 kids. And my son, who is now 24 years old, that's when I had this situation happen to me. I was paying about $1,500 a month in child support, and of course,
$1,500.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And of course,
maybe by you, Leo. No, I'm only playing. I'm joking. Lord, forgive me.
Well, it's funny because for my daughter, I have joint custody, and I still pay child support for her. She's 12, and but that's only $68 a month in child support, and because it's 50-50. With my, I didn't know anything back then when I was taken to court for my son. I wasn't into law at the time, so I got kind of screwed over by the system and, screwed over by her, so to speak. So I was paying $1,500 a month. And of course, obviously I fell behind. The way the child support system works, you go in the arrears anyway, because by the time my son's mother had brought me to court, he was already 2 years old, and they backdate everything. So you go into the arrears anyway. So the time where I had my epiphany was when I had to go to court, and I was short $500. And so I went to court short $500, and pretty much they said, "Well, too bad you don't have that extra $500. You're going to be detained." And so, I was locked up, and when they took me to Upper Marlboro, I was furious. I was very, very angry. I would walk around the jail just feeling angry, and then again, something
for $500. What was you said you had to pay? What you paid 1,000, and then you just needed to pay the $500.
$500 exactly. Okay. Yeah, so I was short that much, and they.
How long did you stay in jail?
Well, I stayed in jail at that time for 3 weeks. And and then they took me back out to the court. So you stay in for 3 weeks, and they took me out, and I had to go back to court. So it wasn't like they just released me. They let me go back to court, and in the court, they said, "Okay, when can you get that $500?" And that's when I said, "Well, you give me a little time, give me at least a month." And they set a new court date and say, "Okay, you have a month to come up with the $500."
Did you have a job at the time that you could have lost?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had jobs,
Yeah, paying $1,500, you would have had to.
Right. And but the thing is, to them, that didn't matter. What mattered to them was I was short $500. That's what mattered to them. So now, be it, although I was paying this amount, I did fall into arrears prior. You can never really catch up, And then when I had gone to school, because I went to law school and all that. When I regained that, I did fall further behind. So anyway. When I had when I was detained, when you're in jail, you can't. It's not easy to make phone calls in jail. You can't just say, "Oh, let me make a phone call," or "Let me call collect." It's not even like that anymore. You have to actually have money on your account, even just to make it a phone call. So when I was there, when I realized all that, I said there needs to be some kind of system that where people can, dip into this account, this insurance account, that would pay that extra money. Let's say it would pay that $500 that I was short. Or B, or I should say, and B, that if I need help while I'm detained, they will know and make that contact. Let's say I didn't have that. Someone needs to be able to say, well, let me call, an outside group should say, okay, let me call other people to try to raise up the money or get this person out of jail, because there's nothing that you can do while you're in jail, and then also, 3, there should be some kind of network, like a legal network, because you're absolutely right. You cannot, they're not going to give you an attorney to help you when you go to court. They're just not, because they feel as though that is a civil thing. Now, be it when you get arrested and you go to jail and you go to that second court date, there may be an attorney for you. There might be a public defender. And the only reason why that might happen is because of it's now turned criminal. But that's not likely, because it starts out as a civil thing. You see what I'm saying? And in some states, they still don't give you attorneys when it turns criminal, because overall it's a civil case. So that's how I came up with it.
So let me ask you this: do you think if you were not jailed, if you were not incarcerated and going, I don't even want to see you, and I would never want to feel that kind of rage, because that could be very toxic and unhealthy to be in that state of rage for long periods of time. Thank God you was able to see your way out, and I think it had a lot to do with your experience. I mean, you were going to school to be a lawyer, so you knew what needed to be done and what was missing. But do you think you would have been on this whole child support insurance if you never had that experience?
No, not at all.
So then we can call it, thank God you had the experience as though it was painful, but you would have never created the nation's world's only child support insurance company in the world. That is a big, big deal.
Absolutely, it did come serendipitously, yeah, and I would never have thought of it had I not had gone through that situation. And while I was there, I met a guy who was locked up for 3 months because he didn't have $300. Now that's ridiculous,
Right.
and that's no joke.
And they will keep you in there that long? Like, who's paying
Absolutely.
that bill? We got to pay that bill. Like, don't you think being in jail is just exacerbates the issue?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, I can't do these racism, these racist folks. Like, that is just, I don't know. I just can't see it happening. To me, it just, I don't know. I'm just, you don't got me fired up, fueled up. I'm pissed off. And it didn't even happen to me. Thank God that, and I have to say all things work for those who love God. That's what I believe. And I
Absolutely.
thank God that you took an experience and you did something that can just put a dent in the whole entire system. Now, yeah, we're going to still need judges. But shame on you if you don't have a child support. Glenn runs a child support diversion program where they can come into his program, but he had to get the judges' support. So we have to take this dialogue, this conversation, policymakers, we have to push it because nobody else is coming to our rescue. Hello.
Absolutely.
They're not coming.
No doubt.
And so we have to push it on our own because it's not going to happen. And I'm just thinking, like, let me ask you this. During jail, you being in did you have this stigma like, yo, I'm not a deadbeat dad? Yo, I should be here.
Absolutely, and that's why I hate the terminology deadbeat dad, because most fathers are not deadbeat. It's funny because one of my projects in which I want to work on is actually a documentary, and it's called Creating Deadbeats, and I believe the system is what tries to create this deadbeat. Because if you really think about who is the one making the money, the when you incarcerate someone, and especially black men, especially
who making that money?
Exactly.
Come on now.
Especially black men are the ones that are being incarcerated. Now, when they do it, it's the state. The jail is making money. When they incarcerate a person, you think that guy that I met who couldn't afford $300 and he's being detained for 3 months. The state makes a few thousand per inmate. So everybody gets paid, but for $300, you're locking up someone for 3 months. That's insane.
Okay, now I don't even have no words. Y'all can speak. Y'all, the rest of y'all got questions. I'm just so pissed off right now. I'm just pissed. Now I got to get my mind right over here.
Well, my name is Chaplain James. I commend you for coming on the show, sir. And where was you when I was going through that situation with this child support insurance? You know what I mean? Because I had lawyers on retainer before. So pretty much, man, that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Helping people pay into something. And for what I researched you a little bit, and it's pretty much like an investment as well. You know what I mean? For the child, you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, let them talk about like what Progeny Life is. Like, so you could give us the backdrop. Yeah, you have child support insurance, but how does it work? Talk to us about like what it is. So
Right. Well, fantastic. Yes. Progeny Life, I made it not just an insurance company, but also an investment company. And what it happens is and I made it affordable. So even if you are not making that much, you could pretty much afford $15 a month. With that, let's say you pay the lowest amount, which is $15 a month, and that equates to about 180 per year. Now, hypothetically, if you need a payout that particular year, I'll pay out. My company pays out $200. So it's even more than, of course, what you get. Now, the thing is, it behooves you though to keep it in. So you can't just say, okay, I make an extra, $20, get an extra $20 from my child support. First, before it even, what happens is, you have to be about ready to be in contempt of court. So meaning that when you pay into us and you're about to go to court and you're about to be found in contempt, that's when we'll pay, and it goes to child support enforcement, because the main thing is to keep you out of jail. Now, let's say hypothetically that nothing happens this year and it will roll over to the next year. So that means that next year, it's not like regular insurance. Let's say car insurance, you pay, let's say $500 for the year, and then nothing happens that year. You don't get any money back. Next year you go ahead and pay it again. You know what I'm saying? But what happens with this is three things happen. One, part of the money rolls over till next year, so it adds to your account. The second part a little bit goes into a 529 account, and what with a 529 account, it's called a 529 savings plan, and what that is as a plan, a savings account for your child. So let's say, for instance, your child is 5 years old, and part of the money, let's say $100, goes into this 529 savings plan. Now that accumulates money, and each year that you have you're with us, you more money each year goes into this 529 savings plan, and it also accrues money. You see, so by the time the child is 18 years old, that 529 savings plan would have grown to a substantial amount, and then that amount of money goes into either educational thing. Let's say it's college. Let's say it's a vocational. And let's say they don't want to go to college. It will go to something that will benefit them. Maybe they want to buy a house with a down payment on a house, but it benefits them. You see,
The child.
exactly, the child, not the parent, or exactly, just the child.
So it's kind of like a multiplier that you're paying it, yes, to keep your tail out of court, a jail, in the event that you should fall behind on your payments. You won't, prayerfully go to jail. And we'll talk about that in a second. But also, if you never have to take away from the money rolls over, and a part of it can go towards this 529 education plan. And then you just kind of keep paying that, and that money accrues. Do they get statements every month to show them where the money allocation is?
Well, what happens is you can go on the website, and there's a part where it says members only, pretty much, and you can see what your statement, how much is in your 529 account, how much is in your child support account.
So it's kind of like an escrow account, like a child support escrow. Can you say that?
Yes, if you want to call it that. Yeah. However, it's two different accounts that you would see. The 529 account, you cannot touch the 529 savings account. However, the account for the child support insurance account, you can see that, and you can get it paid out. For and you only get it paid out if you are about to become in contempt of court.
Or what if you lose your job and you can't make the payments to prevent from falling behind?
Well, then you will let the company know. You let Progeny Life know, and then, like I said, it will go to your child support. It will go to the child support company. It won't go to the payer.
Yeah.
But let me say this: that the only time it did go to the payer was this past year, to 2020, because many people were, as you know, with the pandemic, were hurting, and I thought it would be more beneficial to go to the payer instead of, the child support.
Let me find out. You had your own little stimulus package.
Yeah, pretty much, if you want to call it that. If you want to call it that.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, uh, I pay $300 a month. I roll into your program. 3 months down the road, I lose my job. 3 months down the road, they're gonna call me into court because now I owe $900 in back child support.
Okay.
Do you guys cover the $900? How do the insurance keep me from going to jail now?
Right. Well, what we do, we pay what your policy is. So if you're paying, if your policy is $25 a month, well, we'll pay out what that policy is. Now, it may come a little short, and the thing is, what we have been doing have been contacting judges to let them know that this is what our system is. So, usually with content, now in my situation, when I was detained for missing, being short $500, I'm trying to pretty much get away from that, let them have leeway. So if I'm going to court this next time and say, well, I'm $500 short, but my insurance is going to cover, let's say it covers $300 of what I've, and I'm short just $200. What we're trying to do is get the judges to have more of a leeway so that once they know that, okay, what they're doing is they have paid this insurance, and this insurance is covering this amount, and they may be still short, at least I can give them leeway. At least they can give them leeway because they're taking initiative to get the insurance, and the insurance is paying a certain amount.
So if I'm on a plan that's paying $25 a month, and I take you got different plans, right?
Right.
What's the highest you could pay per month?
Highest you could pay is $400 a month, and
Okay.
that
So
covers.
I'm paying $100 a month. Again, so I got $300 in there, but my purge I got to pay is $900.
Right.
So you pay $300. How about coming up? If I don't have the money to come up with the $600, I'm still going to go to jail because even though you're helping me out, that's still $600 that I got to come up with. They put you in jail for $500. I'm still a lot short, so I'm still going to end up going to jail.
Right.
I mean, you're helping me out, but you're not really.
Well, no. Let me see this, and because I'm thinking, and you let me know. Every client should be assessed as to what a potential child support payment they should be paying. If you got 2-3 children, then you all in court, or you have all of these children and you're making this amount of money. So let's say if you're making a payment of $100 a month, that's a $1,200 a year policy.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And so if in that case at $100 a month, then yes, if you fell behind 3 months, if your child support, because it still depends on what your child support. So if you're saying that here his child support is $300, he falls back 3 months, he's $900 in the arrears. He would need, because I think do you measure the child support payment against something to give an estimate of what type of policy could keep you out of jail? Because in that, if you told me your child support is $300 a month and you fall in arrears 3 months, because that's what it might take, then you're going to need a policy that at least paid that much or more,
right, to keep
you out of jail.
So okay, let's say that you pay $300 a month in child support, and you're paying the insurance, my insurance company, $100 a month. Now, again, if you look at the policies on that, we actually pay out more. So let's say, for instance, if it's $100 a month, I believe what the payout is $1,500 a month. I'm sorry, $1,500 a payout. So after 9 months, and let's say you didn't finish the whole year, after 9 months, we still will pay that $1,500. You see what I'm saying? So if you're behind 3 months and that's $900, it still covers your child support payments. You see what I'm saying? Uh, I don't know if
So
that.
let me ask you this. How do people like it sounds like I know first of all insurance is complicated to a degree, particularly new insurances like this, that we have so many different variables. We don't have a lot of best practices, proven things that have worked, so to speak. You're doing that now. Unlike a life insurance policy, they've pretty much got that down to a science. This is the money, this is what you get, and under these circumstances you don't get nothing. So you are paving a way, for these things to happen. Um, is there, let's say they come to your website, can you just get a policy online, or is there a process that has to do with, like some kind of a informal evaluation or assessment as to what type of policy is best, or can they just get a policy online?
Right. No, I have membership directors, and they will they will talk to find out what is your
Risk.
your payment that you pay every month, how much you're back in the arrears, what's your next court date, so it asks a whole bunch of questions before so you just can't go online and say, oh, I want to pay such and such amount. You can suggest to the director, well, if you're paying, say $1,000 a month, and you say to the director, I just want to pay $15 a month. That's not recommended, but you can do that, But the thing is, a director will actually sit down with you. Right now, it'd be virtually, of course, and go over what is it that you pay, how much are you in arrears, is one policy per child, so you can't put two. You say, I have two kids and I just want to do this, because it would be one per child. So there is a stringent way of doing it and stuff.
That makes sense. One policy per child.
Right.
Hmm. So let me ask you this next question. Is most of your clients, the last time I talked, you had maybe like between 200 and 300 clients, which I thought was super dope. Um, are they African American or no?
Well, the majority is honestly African American, and it could just have been because what I have, you know, uh, aimed at, you know, and what I mean by that is the way I found my clients, because they're just not listed just like that. I had gone through court documents and court papers, and most of them are African American males. Um, However, because of the fact I'm trying to make this national, and there's ways in which there's red tape that I have to go through per state, and each state is a bit different. Um, it's not going to just concentrate on African Americans. I just don't want it just concentrate on African
Oh,
Americans.
absolutely not. I just was curious to see if we valued or if we would value what this meant or what this could mean, potentially keeping you out of jail for contempt of court for failure to pay,
Right.
when we make up those numbers largely.
Right.
So I'm glad that you have a diverse clientele. I think that's super dope. How do people find out about you?
Well, right now I do a lot of social marketing on like Instagram or Facebook. Um, during funny thing is, back last January, I had a lot of things planned for different events, going nationally at different conventions, and of course, all of them were canceled. Um, so it's a lot of word of mouth as well. Because of the fact I'm trying to make this national, sorry, I hear a echo. Can you all still hear me?
Yeah, that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. Um, so, so yeah, so right now it's a lot of social networking and word of mouth and things like that, and as well as I still go through the court documents and contact people directly through direct mail. I made a mistake last year of contacting all the directors of child support enforcement, and that was a huge mistake because they're on the other side of the fence, you know.
What
And
did they say?
well, it's funny because you know, I've been in business for a couple of years, and when I contacted them, yes, because I contacted every single in every state, every single child support director, and they thought it was one of a scam, you know, and it was just you know, craziness, and then I had to
It probably
there's
was not us. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. I see
Which,
white people. I see white people a lot.
which was a question I was going to ask.
Uh,
How do the how do the judges buy into this? I
how
mean,
did you?
do they support this, or I mean, I could see a judge saying, "Hey, instead of you paying your insurance, why not put that $200 for your child payment, your child support payment? Why are
No,
you?"
Glenn gonna say it. Jesus Christ.
I,
Go ahead.
I mean, I've been in courtroom for 15 years, and I know judges and I know caseworkers, and they say, "Why are you trying to pay this insurance when you should be really?" If I got 3 kids and I got $100 policy, that's $300 a month that I'm paying for insurance. That's
Right.
not going towards my child support. That's not
Well,
including
mhm.
the five hundred
well,
dollars a month, that I'm paying with my child support.
well, that's an excellent question. And the thing is this is more preventative, you know, because the thing is, if you look at it like this, that um, if you are in a position where you're paying child support for your 3 kids, you don't want a situation where, you know, there's a layoff or that you lose your job or, you know, or something happens. And at least you know that you can be covered. Just like when you pay car insurance, you know, yes, you could put more money to your car note, you know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. I'm like
Oh,
true.
oh, okay. Um, however, it's
Yeah.
more preventative. You know, now this money is not. You know, it's you have to look at it in a way of more futuristic. How am I helping my child? If I lose my job, and at least I know that there's money here that I can take out and give to my child, and in the hopes that I can go and find another job. You know, it's more looking futuristic. It's not looking at the what's now and I'm paying this and now. You know, it's more saying what can happen if something happens. How am I going to provide? Keep on providing until I can stand back on my feet. You know, and
So I
then
think it's the same thing like what Glenn was saying. Well, Glenn, I guess do the judges say, hey, you got a car note? You think about putting in your car and taking care of your kids? Would the judge say
Yeah,
that? I mean,
yeah.
car
I
note.
mean, that's what they say sometimes. You got a $400 car, and you got a $400 payment. Go sell that car and get you a cheaper car. Now you don't have to make that $300 note. You can and go pay your child support. I guess man, I understand what you're saying. I totally get the preventive measures, and you want to, especially the saving part. I really get that on the other end. That's the second part of this. I really I understand that. I like that totally. That's because you're getting guys to kind of save money, which is a
right,
good thing. My concern was when I'm buying into this, I'm paying into the system that now this is going to happen. I get laid off my job. I'm good as long as I'm working. But the issue when I get laid off, that's when I'm going to face this judge, and I don't quite have enough money, And then when I go to court, you may pay a portion of it, but I still got to come up with a lot more money to stay out of jail. And the other thing is, and a lot of times I deal with the judges, and they're like, they just concerned about the kid. Well, what they say they concerned. That's another whole story.
Mm.
You know, how is this child? Why are you paying this insurance
There you go, son.
for your child? Is now you're not meeting your child's
no, no, and
obligation.
I totally understand it, but you have to understand too. Yes, the child comes first and foremost. I totally agree with that. However, they want to know what your intentions are. They want to know:
Right.
are you really trying? Are you really out there? Do you really care about your child? And if they know that, wow, this person took the action, the initiative, because they know that something could happen, you know, and they know that if they lose their job, they protected themselves. They're protecting their kid. And if they're paying, like in my case, when I was short $500, if I was paying something like this and they knew that, wow, this guy, it took extra measures, and the insurance thing is only what, let's say that you can only do, let's say it only covered $300. Let's just use that. And I'm $200 short. Do you honestly think they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't, I'm still sending you to jail? Not likely. They can. There are some jerk judges out there. That's true. But they're saying, taking the chance. This guy is taking initiative. He cares enough to get this insurance, and the insurance is paying in. He just lost his job. He needs that bridge, and that's what this is. And
I know for a minute, if I was a man and I was in contempt of court for 3 months, I will come in with the plea, like, Your Honor, I lost my job. And not only did I lost my job, but here is a policy that I have that will pay half, especially if they talk about putting you in jail.
Right.
Here's a policy that I have, and I have a 529 education plan for my kids because I never wanted this to happen. So I pray that you do not put me in jail where I will lose my job, because I have done and I have exhausted all personal measures that I could do, and being diligent to avoid this. I doubt they would still put your ass in jail, and if so, then they ask me to be disbarred, and they shouldn't.
Right. Another question is, all right, I'm $15,000 behind in the royalties. I'm $15,000. Can I still get insurance policy from you? I'm coming to you now. I'm $15,000 behind in the royalties, and I'm, really not carrying on my current obligation. Can I still get this insurance, and how much is it going to cost me?
Well, absolutely. The thing is this: it's not going to clear your arrears up. But the thing is, what they care about is that you're paying. You're going to be paying. So if you're usually what happens when you have arrears is, let's say that your payment. Let's use $300. They'll add, let's say, $25 for the arrears. So they want to see that you're paying. As long as you're paying that month, they're going to work with you. So now if you're not paying, it's like, if I came to court and said, and then I lost my job 3 months in, and didn't have, this insurance and stuff. And, the first thing they're going to say is, were you looking, you've been out of a job for 3 months. Were you even looking for a job? And I say, yeah, I was looking for a job, but nothing is hiring, nothing. How does that look as opposed to saying, I have this insurance, and this insurance could pay this amount of money? You see, they want you to take initiative. Right. Even though I believe a lot of them do want to lock up people, they're more important people to be detained. And if you really are there, they want to see some action.
Right. Right,
so
right.
Let me ask you, go ahead, Anthony.
Let me say this. Well, to me, like this is like a to show cause type situation. You have a leg to stand on with this insurance.
Absolutely.
Basically what you're saying. Because if you're paying into it, you're just not paying. So when you do go in front of a judge, even if you owe a higher arrears, they're gonna look at the dates of what you've been paying. Like he said, $15,000. If you got $15,000 in arrears, you ain't been paying nothing. And then you go all of a sudden trying to get this insurance. That's going to show that no, you're just trying to get out of something. I think if I heard Glenn right, that's what he was saying.
But 15,000 in arrears could also mean you just got mad kids, and or you make mad money and fell behind. And so it would take 10 months.
But they're going to show this to show cause. They're going to show to show cause. And that's pretty much shows what you've been doing. And paying this insurance to me.
I want to hear testimonies from those that have gone through, because in your case, or both of your case, you needed how much money to stay your tail out of jail, Anthony? 500 or 24? Me? Yeah.
No, 2,400.
But how much was you able to come up with like at that moment? 5?
At that moment, I couldn't come up with anything.
Okay. So
I had money you know, I had a check that I was getting 2 weeks later, but at that present time, I couldn't get in contact with anybody.
So here's where I want to make
So,
sure we understand, because I know how Glenn's brain works. I know, Anthony, how your brain works, and I see where the solution is. And this is where I want you guys to understand. When you are creating something for the first time, all variables, all things won't be magical and fit. This is an answer to a solution, because at the end of the day, who is going to keep us from going? Now, here's where I know this thing will go. This will go towards changing policy. So in a perfect world, when it's actualized and the vision is made manifest, you have public policy that has changed that says now educate instead of incarcerate, failure to pay child support. So now they're not going to put people in jail for the first time after being in arrears. They're going to put them into programs like yours. That's what's going to happen at the end of all of this. How long will it take to do that? I don't know. But then at the end of the day, also, when they have policies like from Progeny Life, then it's like, okay, we also have policies. It's like a bond. It's no different from a criminal bond. Here's a bond. Here's a promise to pay. It's no different from when you're about to get evicted from your home and you got to go sit down there at Catholic Charities and they give you a little promise to pay, a little voucher or whatever, say, we're going to pay this on your behalf. Landlords take it. Judges have to then take it to show good faith efforts in keeping men out of jail if children are the first priority, because surely incarcerating a father cannot be in the best interest of the child.
right.
And if they are taking these, if we go to you, Fathers Forever first, teach us on some things we don't know, use Progeny Life second, use coaching, training, education here, you know, Anthony, we have the tools and we have to see the vision as manifest and say, here's what we, just like you did it, Glenn, and you all did it. You advocated for yourself. You talked to those judges. And you know, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'll say this, and you're absolutely right. You know, my company does work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and these organizations are organizations that if somebody comes into the company, I have counselors that talk to them. You know, if they can't find a job, we may help them. We may help them with their resume. Not my company itself, but the nonprofits would do that. So I connect with a lot of nonprofits that help fathers. It's mainly fathers. You know, there's sometimes there are mothers. You know, but it's mainly fathers. But sometimes people just need that help. You know.
So I got a Facebook. Shout out to David Kelsey Baker. He is, I think he's out there in North Carolina. He says the failure to pay must be willful for the court to hold the payer in contempt. Now, David Baker, you know I love you and you are just. And this might work like that in your courtroom, but I promise you, I got a whole lot of fathers that will tell you otherwise. Now, he also says an involuntary layoff alone should not result in contempt or incarceration. It shouldn't. But in your case, Leo, was you laid off?
No, I was just behind.
Working.
You know, I was just behind.
You were just behind. So there was, I don't know how the courts prove willful intent versus, you know, what is it? Willful and intentional is another word, like opposite of willful. Like
Unwillful.
What is it? Unwillful?
It's been my experience.
Hey, David, I know you on the bench. I remember you and your beautiful family. Good evening, everyone. They're enjoying the conversation. He is on the bench in Wake County. So shout out to Wake County. Shout out to the judges out there.
Yeah.
I know the Judge Craig Kroom. I'm about to mess up everybody. Judge Craig Kroom and Judge Vincent Rozier, all of them black judges, black men, you know, in Wake County, which is a big deal.
It's been my experience that guys just don't go to jail the first time they go for being behind. There's a process. There's been many times that the caseworker have reached out to these fathers, either in email or trying to communicate into letters, all kind of things. for the most part, I mean, it may be for the most part. There's a lot to go before they bring you in and held you contempt. They and most time when the judges say you willfully, because they look at the time they tried to contact you, or you haven't paid. So there's a whole lot to go into it before they put you in jail. And it's been my experience most of the time. The guys that I've been around, they were in jail because they actually, and I know people don't agree with it. You shouldn't put folks in jail for non-child support. But if you consistently dodge the system, don't pay your child support, find every excuse in the world to keep from paying your child support, cry racist, cry what you want to call it, you should be put in jail. And guess what? They are going to put you in jail. Now, you can blame the system.
Right there when you come up.
You can say anything you want to do. You, as an obligation as a man to pay, you know what you're supposed to pay. I mean, you eat, you clothing. You mean, why haven't you paid your $300 a month child support?
Right. Well, I halfway agree with that actually, and halfway don't agree with it. And the reason why I do, for number one, is it is different in every state. Like for instance, Pennsylvania, right. If you're behind on your child support payment, they'll come to your house and arrest you, and then you go to court. So it does depend on the state. Secondly, the thing is that with that is going on to the lines of saying like the deadbeats. Now, right. I agree there are people that willfully don't pay.
Right.
And that's not what this is about. It's those people who are right. paying, who want to pay, but something happens. And when a lot of times, most men want to pay their child support. It's circumstance. And,
I believe that.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. Like I said, I've been doing it in the court system for three days a week for the last 10 years. I've seen it all. And I've seen a lot of those guys, and I was like, dude, you wouldn't have to go to jail if you would just pay your child support, or at least pay some of it, or you out, you're doing everything except for you got your 3 or 4 cars, you got motorcycles, you got all this stuff, but yet you can't pour the $300 a month in your child support. There comes a time where they're going to put you in jail, and but also seeing. There are judges out there that wants to send a guy who's struggling because a lot of guys are not dead beat, they're dead broke. And I get that. There's a big difference. But there are some deadbeat dads out. I don't like that term, but they are. However, there is a whole lot of fathers out there that's struggling that need some help.
Yes.
And send them to a program like ours or any program that's going to help the guys understand the system, get back on their feet, find a job. That's what needs to happen. But again, in my experience, even when the judge ordered these guys to come to a program, only 15% of them show up. The rest of them don't take advantage of it, and they still don't come to the class, and they still don't go to court, and they still end up in jail. Now, who are you going to blame for that?
Well, they're going to blame
the white man.
No, you can't blame the white man.
Well, no, you can only blame yourself when
I know.
Right.
And the thing is, yes, there's people out there and stuff like that, and I know there's people out there. There's people out there that commit crime all the time, and you could say they could stop committing crime. So my company is not about it. It's about helping those people who really want that help. Yeah. A lot of times we end up focusing on those type of people who don't want to pay their child support. But that's actually not the
majority.
I don't know. Those are that's a small, more of a small amount than the people who really do want to help. We're talking 18 million people out in the United States pay child support. Do you think everybody out there is like, oh, well, I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay. No.
There's a very small percent of child support enforcement. For the most part, people pay their child support even through the system, like clockwork. My ex-wife paid me like clockwork. Every twice a month, I got my check. Even though she was in the system, she still paid. There's a lot of people out there are working. They're in the system. They're paying their child support. It's the child support enforcement that has to come in and force guys who are not compliant. Now, there is, when you compare the numbers to folks are compliant to the people are non-compliant, there's a big difference because there is a lot of people who are compliant and they are doing the thing that they should be doing. There is a small number of people who are not. Those are
But
the
see,
people.
in Leo's case, he was compliant for a while, and then he fell back. And here's another thing I think Progeny Life, which you didn't touch on, having a network of attorneys to help advise you throughout the way, or just come into, being available. Why leave? We're here to move a million moms of welfare, and we can't do that if we don't help fathers, because there's a correlation between the amount of money a woman would get for child support with how long she would stay on welfare. There's it's called the 13th report to Congress, and they can show child support was an indicator with how long she could stay. And for those that didn't receive child support, they stayed longer.
Right. Which I understand what you're doing, Mr. Leo, because you and I've said this 1,000 times, if it's not more. There's a systemic problem. There's also an individual problem. What you're trying to do is help guys see as an individual. Help me solve this problem before I get to it. Let me be prepared. One day I may lose my job. So let me get some insurance if that's what I need to help cover. That's
preventive.
Welcome.
Proactive.
And that's what we need.
Absolutely.
So we gotta get these men to understand that, not just you gotta buy into this.
Yeah.
This is something that you gotta do, and especially at Black men.
Absolutely.
Especially if you got policies as low as $15 a month, and when you get your income tax check, which sometimes if you owe back child support, you won't get no income tax. But pay it off. It's what, $15 a month, $25 a month, $300.
I mean, back in the day, my granddad, no white man had to tell us to pay. No white man.
No, that's right.
Had to tell my daddy to take care of his kids.
Come on with it. And I think back then they despised.
But we still Black men. Back then there was Black. Now we Black. What makes it different now that white people now have to tell us to take care of our kids? What's the difference?
Right.
Well, I'll say I will say this. That to be honest with you, when I was detained, and had to go to court, keep going to court, and all that stuff. Actually, to be honest with you, most of the white judges actually helped me more than the Black judges. A lot of times the Black judges would actually,
Look at that. What is that about? What is that about? Because I think, James, Anthony, you said your judge that threw your tail in court, your tail in jail and said you was a gigolo, didn't ask you for nothing. You ain't had that 24. She said, sir, you a gigolo. And she threw you in court, not for willful. So, and this was Wake County. So David, you might need to check your comrades down there in Wake County, maybe, because obviously the ones that work with Glenn and the ones that work with you, it's just not the same. But that's not the same.
I'm gonna say this.
Let me ask you this: what then do you do if you feel that you were wrongfully imputed and a harsh sentence that might have been bared based on race? Is there recourse that a man can take, writing a letter to the bar that says, here's the law. The law says, like he says, there should be a willful, intentional attempt to avoid child support. I did not have that. Here is my, job. Here is my child support record. Here is, I pay my child support, and I fell behind, and me being locked up for 3 months, 2 months, 3 weeks, I almost could have lost my job. You make it worse. So I don't see how you justify it.
Well, I would say this, that the judges are just following the law. I think the only way that you can really do it is legislation, And one thing that I'm trying to push is legislation for child support insurance, where, just like it's mandated to get car insurance, you should be able to get child support insurance mandate.
And it should be able to count for something.
Yeah, and the issue right now is, can the guys afford the premium? Because for
$15, you can afford that. $15 is the lowest. $400 is the most.
Right.
Can you downgrade your insurance policy if you
Absolutely. The thing is, you're absolutely right. $15 a month. Come on. A cup of coffee at Starbucks is
$80 a year.
That's a pair of Jordans. Get out.
Right.
What did that $15 cover? How much and
You shouldn't expect it to cover anything at $180, really. And I'm being facetious, but for $180, not to say that it won't, and I'll let you say something. But if you got 4 or 5 kids and you paying this $180, please don't expect to have somebody bail you out of jail after $10,000. That's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is yes, $15 a month is not anything. However, it will keep you out of jail. Number one,
it should keep you out of jail.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you're showing initiative that you're doing something.
Has this helped for your 300 plus clients? Have you been able to help avoid jail for some of your clients?
Absolutely.
Praise the Lord.
And not only that, as a member, you are able to go in our network of attorneys. Now, be it if one of our attorneys go to court for you, you are paying them. However, it is a discounted rate because they're in our network. But you're there. Some of the work they'll do a modification, they may not even charge you for doing a modification.
And let me tell you this too. I know for sure that's why the Bible says defend the poor. And even though the judges or the court system or our system will appropriate an attorney to poor people to defend them, which we know that ain't it in some cases. But in this case, when it came to like Anthony being incarcerated, if he had the insurance policy and the network, and he was able to call somebody, even if he had a $200 show up fee, I'm sure he would have paid that $200 show up fee to get that attorney down there. And that attorney would have flipped some little jargon, sir, this ain't willful, this is this, that, and the third. And he would have got out of jail simply because he had representation.
Oh, absolutely.
So sometimes the failure to just have representation, $200 is would you have found $200 to keep you out of jail, Anthony?
Of course. Well, I'm gonna say this. As much as I've been involved with the system, working against me or whatever I was trying to do to help raise my kids financially, programs like this is moving forward to the future. Like I would have bought into this. I would have bought into this because it makes sense and it's an investment. Absolutely. And it's an investment, just like life insurance. Absolutely. You pay your money for life insurance. You get perks with that. Absolutely. Right, you get perks with paying for the kids. This is like an extra, like you said earlier, escrow account. You putting monies away. The 529 program. You know what I mean? They can get things like when they get out of college or get out of high school, things that you probably don't have the money readily right in your pocket, but you're putting it away. You know what I mean? So I'm with this insurance, just as well as Glenn Warren's. Like I believe what you said earlier, Raquel. I see this team formulating because Glenn's situation is helping you do one thing. This is, Leo's situation is helping you do another thing. So bringing this together, policy and procedures, man, this is definitely going to work. And I've been paid.
Go ahead.
I'd have paid over $150,000 in child support. I mean, that way more than that. But I was in arrears for $65,000 almost 8 years ago. Wow. I don't owe anything right now, so I don't blame. Basically, I went and got 2 jobs. So when they took my first check, they was taking all that money out of there. I went and got 2 jobs. Had I had this insurance, man, I'd have been paying. If it wasn't the $15, I'd have been paying that. And over the years, that would have accumulated.
And you would have had some stuff for your daughters and your kids for their education.
Right.
Things like that. I mean, that's a big change. So you went beyond just insurance. You took it to another level. And I'm sure as you go and see big other things, and as your clientele grow, you'll be able to add different things that wasn't there in the first time. Just despise not the day of small beginnings. And, we're at the time, we're actually over by like 15 minutes, but it was just too good. I couldn't turn it off. So I hope I know that we've gotten so much love and so much feedback, even from David. He's a judge in Wake County watching. He's like, good conversation. And so shout out to all the judges out there that are imputing justice in the name of, whoever your name is that you impute. If it's for your God, then hallelujah. If it's for the Constitution, then, Hail America. I don't know. I'm just saying that we got to do better. We can do better because we are better. And so, shout out to the fatherhood programs. There's a lot of fatherhood programs out there. And, I don't know what it's going to take for this thing to kind of go off, but one of the things I know is consistency. So we'll be consistent. We're not going anywhere. We're going to just continue this conversation. We can't wait for our trailer. We can't wait for our movie to be out. It's a short film. It's funny. It's real. Social services will take you to court. You can get brought up on child support for children that is not yours, but just because she put it on child support. So if men, you don't learn nothing else, understand you got to be diligent. All eyes vigilant. Always watching, praying to make sure that you are on top of your game. I think, for the most part, I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I know, subscribe to the channel, of course. Leo, we would always love to have you back anytime.
Anytime.
We want to promote. So we want to make sure on our websites, on our podcasts, everywhere we are, in our e-blast, we talk about, and we put you on the bottom of our e-blast as we put it out to thousands of, it's probably like 10,000 people a week that we have access to. And we just hope that, one word spreads the next, and we're able to kind of get this thing going where it needs to be. All my policymakers out there, if you got a nick for policy, if you have relationships with congressional representatives, we can't say Black Lives Matter if we don't do this work. You can't say defund the police if we're not talking about curbing the activities that police get paid to track, to suppress, to, reduce. So, we all have a part to play. And I'm glad that I'm playing it with these gentlemen here. I know somebody was like, where's your females? You ain't got no females? I think I'm enough for it. I think I'm enough, but maybe not. Give me some females. Give me some females that, have a different story. I want to talk to some females. I don't have Monette. What's on the podcast for next week? Because we want to start talking to some moms, or maybe the relationships. I don't know what's happening next week. I probably should.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. And so, yeah. So any last parting words, Glenn, Anthony, before we leave, Leo? Oh, progenylife.com, PROGENYLIFE.com. We'll post that out there. Progeny.life.com is where you can go online, at least speak to someone about the insurance. And don't be crazy. Don't have like 5 kids, you 40,000 in child support debt. You talk about, I want the $5 policy. You ain't got the $5 policy. Don't do that.
I can see guys doing that.
What you say?
I can see guys doing that. Mr. Leo, I want to connect with you, man. I think you have a, we got
$5.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential. But I can see guys trying to go down that route, Raquel, and try to
$5 policy. You pay more than that in chicken wings at the Mei Ling and them. Get out of here.
Yeah. You know how we do.
Get some shrimp fried rice. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
fried
me.
rice for $5.
Well, I do thank you for having me and all that, and it's definitely been a pleasure. And this is my life. I'm a serious advocate on it, especially for African American males. Yes, there's always people out there is trying to get over, but this is a very serious company, and I just want to be able to help, especially Black men.
Yeah.
Amen.
But of course, it's for everyone. But we need to start, as African American people, we need to start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Not buy. Let's invest our money to things that's going to grow and matriculate, and not just the sneakers or the. A movie, watching a movie, it was $15 or whatever. So we need to think differently.
Where your heart is where your treasure is. I could look at your bank statement and see what you value. So don't tell me you can't get a child support policy for $15 and just have that thing come out automatically. Pay that. Support him. Support other because his organization will support others. That's what insurance companies do. So it's like crowdfunding your monies.
Absolutely.
You know, and so the more clients he has, the more people he can hire, the more insurances he can write, the bigger we become, you know, and the I don't want to say the quicker we become, but we become our own solutions. So when I now most of the stuff I say to just add the humor. You know, I used to blame white men for everything. You just fuck it, it's the white man, they did it, you know. But the reality is I was responsible. I blamed the white man for all the kids I was having. I even made an appointment at the pastor's office and told him that the devil was busy and the white man got his foot in my neck. And he was like, no, the devil ain't busy, you busy. And I was like, what? That was like the most sobering thing ever. You would think like, duh. But no, I literally was like, it was a come to myself. Like, wait a minute. The white man didn't make me have these kids. The white man didn't, you know, the devil didn't make we did this, me, they, we.
Right.
It was me. And once you can know that you are responsible for your own destiny, your own solution, and you can blame nobody else but yourself, you get on a good foot to fixing it.
And
Because you know that it can be fixed.
And that's the shift we got to make from
the shift,
the systemic problem to the individual's problem. That's the shift.
That's the shift.
We stuck with the problem with the system. The problem with the system is not designed to fix your individual issue.
That's right. That's good. I mean, that's the shift. You heard Glenn. Glenn knows he's been doing this for 15, 20 years. All of our issues somewhere was personal. It flipped on us.
Yeah.
You know, because it flipped on us.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere we didn't manage that relationship right. Somewhere we should have probably went raw dog. We probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. That's what it is.
We probably should have not did that. We probably should have not drank all that Hennessy that night, all them shots of tequilas.
And stop listening to Luther.
Or Trey Songz, we probably shouldn't have did that because we all hurting inside and needing all of these things to numb us and fill us and make us feel, you know, men got to feel like a man at some point, so they gonna bang somebody back out for 5 minutes or 2, and then at the end of the day, what you say?
That's a boy mentality. That's a boy mentality, but you're gonna be treated like a man.
Yeah.
You're gonna be treated like a man, and you're gonna pay. So if we can do anything for you young guys out there that don't have kids, listen, have children when you're responsibly ready to take care of them on your own. Because if you can, she going to the welfare system, and once she goes, whether you like it or not, the system will take you to court.
Yep.
They got tired of saying, well, wait a minute, we ain't about to pay all these damn Medicaid and food stamps. Where this goddamn going fathers at?
Yeah.
We're gonna take their tail to court ourselves. And they started to do that.
You'll be paying child support and still buying those rims, those 42, you know, those tires. Yeah, those, you know, stuff that the guys enjoy. Your money could be paying for your child support.
But he did say, now here's the deal, and we'll talk about it. I don't know where Monette is. She coming back? But
I'm here. I'm just waiting for an end.
One of the things that I know we have to value, we have to shift, and the value, I guess, comes after these conversations and the epiphanies. You know, we have to value life. And just like they say, well, how does Black Lives Matter when we kill ourselves in the street? But when a white cop kills us, it's protest city. You know, it's kind of the same dysfunctional thinking.
Right.
One, you know, if you don't get the badge of honor and the lawsuit because the white man and the police killed you, you shouldn't. It should be no different than if Tyrone and them shot your ass up down the street. You should be just as outraged. You should be protesting.
Right.
But I think we have to value each other, value ourselves. And so I just pray that, you know, in this season, in this new place, COVID got us in the house. We ain't got nothing to do, a lot of us. I just pray that God starts speaking to us and start revealing things. And maybe through conversations like this, these things can come to light.
Yep.
So what you got on that? What is next?
Next week we have on the schedule and the announcement about the animation that's coming up.
So we were supposed to have tickets ready for sale for February 1st, but animation is mad expensive. And so we won't have that till So we were negotiating with like 2 animation companies. Some people wanted like 1,300 a minute, 450 a minute. And let me tell you something. I'll tell you just a little real quick personal testimony. I had these African from Nigeria who was doing the animation, and because I didn't value animation and what it cost and what it took. I was like, "What you want? 125 a minute? That's a lot." Until you get your tail out here, and then I talked them down. Here I go, the New York hustler, 3-car Molly. But I got that man down to like $50 a minute. When he saw the storyboard and the level of detail, he dropped our tails, Anthony say, like a bag of bad dope. He's like, we can't do this. And I was like, oh, wow. Then I had to go talk to, I don't know what they were. I don't know if they were like Pakistani or Indian. And he had compassion for us. And he said, I understand what you guys are going through. Because when I started my business, I had nobody. I had to start from scratch. He said, but my family and my community, they helped me. And then he said, I know you guys don't have that. That hurt. That hurt it. That hurt me. I prayed brimstones down. I said, Lord, this is your work. It will not lack one dime. Ever, never. It won't lack it. And when I saw their rates, and then he showed me behind the scenes of what it took and all of the time and the hours that it took, I was able to talk him down from 450 to 125. And then I had to go and repent to the African guy. I said, I did not mean to devalue anything that you and your team do. I apologize. You know, I offered him the same terms we offered the new firm. And so hopefully that would have changed his mind. We'll know by the end of this week. But yes, we did plan to have the tickets on sale because our trailer should have been done by now, but it's a financial thing. So we'll be looking. Anthony's a producer, assistant producer. We looking to raise our funds, but we need our trailer done first. And so that's just value when you just don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
I just totally took for granted and talked that man down off his skill and his talent as if it wasn't valuable. And who was I to do that? I shouldn't have done that. So I know better now moving forward. So
But
next week, what
so
else is it? It's just
next
talking
week,
about the
so
stuff?
next week we'll probably do a little bit of shifting with the schedule. The week after we're supposed to meet the writer, director, and producer. So maybe we can meet them next week.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. And maybe we'll talk about what that looks like because I don't know if they're ready. I know they were supposed to come on like all of this behind the scenes people, but I don't know if we're ready to get into the movie yet or to the, especially if we don't have the trailer to talk about the components of it. So, but we'll find out. We always got something good. We got a whole schedule lined up for the whole year, so we're fine. All right, thank you, Leo. I want to give a shout out to Leo, to Chaplain Anthony James, to Glenn Warren. You guys are super, super dope. I can never shut that up. You guys are so dope. I thank God for your gifts and your times and your experience. Thank you that he put you in jail for that 3 weeks, even though I know that was not it at that time. God worked it in for your good and for the good of all of us involved. So thank you for being here. I hope from this show that you're able to connect with others. And then we'll just see everybody. We went way over today, but we'll have some snippets and stuff to share. And we'll just see you guys next week. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook, share with your friends, come to the conversation because we only gonna get it more heated up and more heated up. Thank you for tuning in to the Can I Live podcast.
Wait, before we go, thank you, Leo, for being a guest today on the
Thank
show.
you. I appreciate that.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, Can I Live podcast. Like the video from today. You can view our past podcasts, all 24 of them, because we're on podcast number 25. You can view that on our YouTube page as well. Let's get our subscribers up. We're trying to get to 100 before the end of the month, and we're almost there. So help us out, guys. Share us on Facebook. Like our Facebook page, Can I Live Podcast. if anybody ever wants to be a guest on the show, you can email us at podcast@canalive.org. Send us an inbox on our page. We would like to hear your stories. If we have any fathers out there that have an interesting story to share, we would love to hear it. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate your time. We love you guys. We hope this is helpful. And that's it.
Thank you guys.
All right, goodbye.